Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our live webinar, where our experts help you to understand upgrading from a monolithic to headless frontend. My name is Preeti Singh, and I will be presenting today's webinar along with my colleagues Matthew Jacob and Varatharajan Seturaman. And if you have any questions or have trouble hearing or viewing the webinar at any point in time, please let us know in the question window. You can also post your questions or any comments in the same window anytime during the presentation. We have a dedicated slot to answer all your questions towards the end of the presentation. Now, I would like to welcome Matthew Jacob, who is the Practice Head UI Development at Royal Cyber, and Varatharajan Seturaman, who is the Senior Technical Architect UI Development at Royal Cyber. Let's touch upon the agenda of today's webinar. Introduction to Royal Cyber and Frontends for e-commerce. We will be talking about the comparison between monolithic and headless frontends. What are the advantages and disadvantages of monolithic versus headless? Migrating to a headless frontend. And what are the features and benefits of a headless frontend? And at the end of the session, we will be discussing the questions and answers. Let's start off with a brief introduction who we are. Royal Cyber is an IT consulting and digital transformation company specializing in services, solutions, and software. We have been innovating since 2002 and have over 1,000 employees with 600 plus happy customers worldwide. Across the globe, Royal Cyber provides reliable and high performing solutions and services in e commerce, cloud, analytics, mobile AI, middleware integration. Headquartered in Naperville, Illinois, we have offices located in different parts of the world, namely Canada, Mexico, Australia, UK, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, and with our delivery centers located in India and Pakistan. We design strategies to modernize, expand, and build value, delivering impactful journeys for our clients and creating 360-degree values across their digital transformational journey. User experience combined with an excellent user interface is the best way to connect with viewers and ensure on site engagement. We at Royal Cyber leverage the synergy between UX and UI to drive profitable results for our clients. We at Royal Cyber provide the UI services you need to execute your product idea and increase production faster while maintaining quality and meeting the industry standards. No matter whether you need a new application, an upgrade from an existing interface, or support for an existing application, we have got you covered. We select the best tools and approaches for the project's targeted goals while using our years of experiences in UI and UX services to achieve long-lasting results. With that, I will hand over this session to Matthew. Hi, Matthew, over to you.
Thanks, Preeti, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew, UI practice head here at Royal Cyber. It's my pleasure to be part of this webinar session. So let me share my screen. Okay. So let's start the session. So first, let's go to the introduction to frontends for e-commerce. Think about the last time you struggled to make a purchase online, or you kept getting an error message every time you tried to check out from an online store, right? So chances are there either negatively might have affected your customer experience, or you may have even abandoned your shopping cart and left the application altogether, right? So a study found out that 42% of customers are unlikely, while 21% said that they are not likely to all to purchase from a poorly designed or unprofessional website. If that is the case, then one of your top priorities that should be to build a site that ensures a quality buyer experience on front end. Of course, a good user experience isn't just about designing a pretty website, but it's all about the seen and unseen components of your website working together to help the customer easily navigate your website and complete the journey as efficiently as possible, right? And as the number of consumers touch points grows, you will need to understand how the front end and back end of your e-commerce or your application function both separately and together to create a seamless omni-channel experience. So in another, no, coming in another 25 to 30 minutes on this session, we will go through the various aspects of this. Right. So the front end, if you see my screen, the front end consists all the parts of the store or application that customer engages with, such as site designs, fonts, colors, images, products, and all the visual components, whatever you're interacting, right? So as the client side of the website, the front end technology is all about creating a functional and engaging customer experience. So when you are designing or when you are developing the front end of your web application, there are three key components that you are seeing in this slide, components that need to be considered. So we call this as the three pillars of front end. So let us go in detail through each pillars. So first is about the user experience. So the user experience also, that is called as UX. So it's all about how customer views and interacts with an application. So the quality of the user experience is measured by how easily your system can address the need of the customer. Conversation and ultimately the loyalty are dedicated by how elegantly your site supports the need and continually delights, right? So remember, customer have a choice, and issues like unresponsive pages or you see the clumsy navigation that cause that people know to leave the website or other application when they see that. So this is an example. So if you see the right side of the PPT, here is a website which our team has designed and developed. So here you can filter the products by brand, price, the stock, color, and more. In this filter. So the filter displays the number of available products also, and the filter are also very dynamic. So the site won't display any filter which is not available. So this means that no error message or blank screen at any point in this process. So I just want to show an example, say that how when an error message or something comes to your web application, how it can affect, and if it is a clean website, how the users will be able to navigate and they can stick into the site. So according to a study conducted by Baymart said that, right, 69 to almost 70 percentage of shoppers, they abandoned the process after already putting items in their shopping cart. So however, we can, when by improving this altogether the checkout process, right, or checkout design, will say the average large size e-commerce store can increase their conversation rate by 35 percentage. So that is about the user experience part of the first pillar. So if you are going to the performance part, right? The second pillar, the performance of your web application can also affect the experience, the shopper's experience or customer experience, right? In fact, the first 5 seconds of the page load, right? Page load time have the highest impact on the conversation rates, right? The conversation rates, if it decreases by 4 to 5 percentage with every additional seconds of the load time. If that is the case, right? So you know that then your site performance may make or break, right? So let us take the scenarios of the images, the larger images, which slow down the page load, right? So if you see, it will take too much of time. So definitely the page load may increase. right? So if you see on the right side of this PPT, you can see some suggested KPI to monitor the health, no, monitor, and you can determine no, how your no performance, how your no, the web application is excelling or lacking. For example, you are seeing here the LCP, which is called as the largest contentful page, right? So how the the your images and your videos or animation, right? How much time it is taking to no respond, right? The second I've seen. So these are some of the parameters, but there are more parameters in order to no check the performance. So speed index, right? So it measures how the quickly the content, right? You are visually the content is getting loaded, and bounce rate, that is very important. Every single page visit to your site, where user fails to interact, right? So these are the some of the performance criteria. There are more performance criteria which needs to be checked to an application, right? So if you go to the third, the pillars of the application, so the website is visual consistency, right? If you look into the visual consistency, a 5-year study by McKinsey, they covered almost 300 companies across different geographies and industries, right? They found out that the companies who prioritize their site design, right, outperformed those who didn't, and no, grew at a consistently faster rate. So this goes to show that how your site looks and functions truly matters to the shoppers. So having visual consistency is very, very important for helping the users to find their way around your website, right? So it is important to make a first good impression, right? So if you browse through an online store with a messy layout, let's say your fonts are not matched, so a mismatched fonts, or you say that your images is a blurry image is getting too much of time to load, you are likely to question the value of their products, right? A branding, right? And you will exit from that application and find a better site, right? So in the right side, you can see there are a few tips actually no, we have given to improve your site design and make a good first impression. One is that design for the user experience, right? Make sure your website is very user friendly, so it is like a responsive which can work consistently both in your desktop and the mobile application, right? Making very, very easy for the users to navigate from one page to the next, right? So include CTAs, call to actions, that clearly shows how what is the next step in the buyer journey, so that customers can have the most seamless experience possible. The other one is the maintain consistent branding and design. So whether the user is browsing to the social media or any other online store or app, okay, so they have to see that there is a consistent branding for your application, right? So make your brand very, very unique, and so they can easily recognized, so that you can stand out from the crowd, right? So the other one is that focus on the color palette, right? Colors are one of the first thing, right? Every users or no, let's say every consumers notice for your brand. So it is important that you put some thought around it, choosing which is the best color, and personify your brand and will attract your target audience. So there is a research called research color theory, right, which explains how different your colors can convey different meanings and feelings, and try to choose complementary colors when designing your website. So why I have explained this three pillar in order to make sure to understand what is the importance of your site in terms of all these three parameters. Also that how this can add a very, very critical decision factor for your users, because this is something which is related to the next topic. So that is the reason I have given an overview about all no these three pillars, right? So if you now let us look the difference between a monolithic and a headless front end, right? Uh, so traditional monolithic platforms, right? They connect their. So if you see the the diagrams in this PPT, you can see the left side is a monolithic architecture, and other one is an headless architecture, which monolithic architecture represent with the yellow color, and the headless architecture, which you can represent with the green color. So, a traditional monolithic platforms connect their front ends and back end technologies in a tightly coupled system. So, we can say that it is a tightly coupled architecture. So, in the diagram mentioned on the left side, which is a monolithic, right? You can see the monolithic architecture. This architecture might make it easy to build online store, but this is systems simply do not have the flexibility that is necessary for customizing a website, and incorporating the necessary features. So for developing the front end, it has its own out of box solution. If you see any most of the platforms, right, if you see, they come up with their own OTB solution, out of box solution. So we have to use their out of box solution, or the developer need to learn their solution and follow the process and best practices as the platform prescribes to achieve the solution. So that is the reason the headless saves, right? So the headless approach means that you are decoupling. So you can see in the in the presentation, right, the front end, right? So you can see the decoupled front end presentation layer and a back end front end. It is decoupled from APIs and also from the back end. So decoupled the front end presentation layer and back end functionalities. So this is allowing them to work independently and communicating using via APIs. So this means that merchants can, right? So I'm taking a no in a form of a commerce here. That is what I'm using the word merchants here. So, but it is not only very specific to the e-commerce, but it's a common architecture, right? So this means that the merchants can integrate with the multiple technologies and choose front-end experience. So that makes most sense for your business. So so they can choose whether it can be the front end can be Angular, React, Vue.js, and whatever, etc. Right? And all the while, the platforms which you are seeing, right, it powers the backend functionalities, right? So your front end will be independent, and backend will empower the e-commerce or whatever the functionalities it is, right? But the front end isn't the only layer that can be customized in terms of a headless architecture, right? With a headless approach, the backend can split into modules, which removes complexity and allows you to adapt more quickly and to a digital solution, right? So, uh, uh, so let's go to the some of the uh, benefits of the uh, some of the benefits of the headless front end, right? So the benefits of headless right front end, that is you can have a safer upgrades, right? Since the front end and backend function as functional backend functions, it's an independent. A headless approach gives you the freedom to make the changes very agile to either layer without having to adjust the entire system. So what the developers, they can quickly react to the whatever the trends is available in the market or the customer needs, right? So rather than avoiding any costly backend development, right? The second is about the more personalization options, right? So since the front end is no longer dependent on the back end, you can use whatever front end experience that works best for you, rather than relying on a very specific platform to work for you. You can customize your application to suit the preference of your brand and your audience, and integrating all the necessary application and functionalities, which is very necessary, which is very necessary for your business. The other one is about easy integrations, right? So a headless approach enables the backend to function across multiple touch points. Maybe it can be a smartphone or a smart watches, smart speakers, whatever it is, right? So a powerful that API, right, the that connects the two layers to ensure consistent and customized experience across various channels. And another one is about the greater flexibility. So the best thing about the headless approach is that you never stuck where you are at, right? So if you are tired of using a particular front end technology, or you see that that is not my the platform which I want to use, or you find out that the better platform is available. So you can find, you can easily switch to the different platforms, and which best work for you. The other one is about speed, right? So what happened means this allow, right, the headless approach is allow rapid changing changes in the front end, right, without disturbing any back end. And similar like both the front end and back end, you don't want to, whatever you want to make the changes, you can do the changes, right? So also new functionalities and integration can be applied in very very less time. So you can if you use something, if your customer need, quickly you can take that and get into the market faster, right? So that is about the a quick some of the benefits of a headless front end, right? So if you compare, right? So both your monolithic and headless architecture. So there are both the positive side and negative. I cannot say negative side. It's both. There are positive, there are pros and cons are there. So so while you take a decision, also you need to understand what can be a better fit for you. So that is also when we are seeing, we have seen that basically on the three pillars, and you have seen the benefits, and also you have to also understand that whenever you take a decision, what are the pros and cons of both the architectures, right? So if you take a monolithic application, so monolithic because it is completely, it's a pre-built things, it is come up with this monolith is a, it's very easy to set up. So with a little knowledge of the entire development, so it is very easy to set up things because all things are pre-built available, right? And to set up it, right, the cost is less compared to the headless one. So you can set up without customer with the custom features, right? You can, everything is pre-built available, so with the lower cost can be done. There are pre-built templates for frontends which can easily integrate with the same platforms. Same time, there are cons are there. So one of the things are slower loading speed due to the coupled architecture. And whenever the changes needs to be done, right, you have to touch the all the layers in order to make any changes, right? So so with a traditional approach, you are not able to combine different technologies to create a optimized store. So instead you must, whatever, you stick to a, as I said earlier, right, you stick to a particular technology for your platform. So it's like a, the jack of all trade and master of none. So that approach can be very limiting to your to advanced merchants and web developers. Similarly, if you see on the right side, you can see also the headless one. So you can do the endless customization. So that is one of the advantage, endless customization, personalization, right? It has a lot of flexibility. So whatever you want to so if somebody do the research and come up with the best customer experience for your need, for your application, then you can achieve it because they have a lot of flexibility to achieve a unified and personalized customer experience. So, and also the one other important thing is that you can combine the best technology, so to allow you to know best technology for your application, and to bring a seamless experience. So, however, there are if you look into the headless, the it is more efficient to a mid and large application. But if you look into a smaller application, so it is that still the monolithic can be easily, because it is for a smaller store, you need to spend more of customization, rather you can plug and play it, right? Because headless requires a lot of various knowledgeable partners. Also, because of we are using multiple platform, the code consistency, the code base consistency, front end of headless are very typically custom, right, as we discussed. So this means that you need to maintain a consistency and consistently and maintain it over time. Okay. So with this, I will be handing over the session to Varadarajan. Varada, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Matthew. Hello, everyone. So my name is Varadarajan. I'm a senior solution architect here at Royal Cyber. So I'm very glad to part of this seminar. In the previous slides, Matthew presented and discussed about the pillars of front end, and the advantages and disadvantages of monolithic features and the benefits, etc. So, from this discussions, we clearly know that for a monolithic, they have some of the advantages still that can be used for a specific requirements. So now we are going to talk about when and how when and how you can migrate to headless solutions. Let me share my screens. I hope you can see my screen. Matthew, you can see my screen, right?
Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So, so yeah. So you may know that what is meant by monolithic. Monolithics, monolithic. It's a term. It's coming from an ancient. It, it's represented it's represented the huge rocks actually. It means it's difficult to maintain and handling, etc. So technically, monolithic is a large block of code and different models and layers. The layers are tightly coupled with each other. And that application layer and business layers are encapsulated with a single deployable jars and war files. So you should know when to migrate it from monolithic to headless. And next, we are going to see the use cases are checkpoints. Checkpoints that will be help you to decide when we need to migrate it to the headless frontend. So these are the use cases or challenges you're facing in our existing application or monolithic applications, right? If you're facing any one of the challenges, it's a right time for you to migrate it or think about the headless frontend. So one of the factors will be the scalabilities. So you're facing challenges in scalability of your in our existing monolithic application. It's a time to shift it to headless one. Okay, so in common, monolithic application consists of three parts. One is the presentation UI part, the server side, and other is a huge database data part. Since all the layers are tightly coupled to each other, if you scalable at one layer, that may be impact on other layers. Okay, so it's very difficult actually. So in that situation, decoupled headless solutions will help us to scale the layers separately. The other factors will be the cost involved. So when you do any scalabilities or when you do any changes in that, no, so that will be impacting that part of that applications. So that delay our process, build process and other things. No, so that may occur some cost. Okay, so sometimes even for a small CR change request. So we did for a part of an application that will be impacting the other part of the applications. So this will be set back your development velocity and may require more time to do end-to-end testings to make sure that application is running from end to end. So leads more time to compile this entire code, build release process, etc. So here the headless approach provide focus testing on the impact areas and reducing the impact code on the changes. And the other thing is the performance things. In the first part of this, Matthew also explained about the performance. It's one of the three pillars of frontend, right? So performance is an important thing for any applications, right? So if you're facing performance or page slowness issues in your existing monolithic application, sometimes it's very difficult to fix it because that's a tightly coupled with that. Okay, so in a monolithic applications, your all the requests are handling and processed within a single systems. So complexity in debugging and finding the root cause for any issues, it's very tough. It's time consuming things. Okay, so for that scenarios or for that situation, headless solutions provide you to do a detailed analysis of these issues. And other use case will be the communications. So you may have a requirement in a legacy systems, want to connect it with the different systems in an organization or for a specific scenarios. Front-end require an additional authentications like integrated with the third-party authentications like Azure or Microsoft Azure Active Directory authentications. So if it's in a monolithic systems, no, so it's still possible, but it will be some little bit time consuming or difficult to achieve in a monolithic systems. So here the decoupled headless frontend and backend is the best solutions to achieve it. Okay. And other is a monolithic. So you know the difference between monolithic and other things. So you're thinking about headless things. Here you're thinking about migrated to headless things, right? So in that scenarios, the headless approaches may have many advantages to your systems, from UI layers, content, services. In simple, you decouple the UI layer from a monolithic to headless UI. So so when we even decoupled from at some stages, so when we added functionality, when we scalable on that, scalable over this uh, functionalities are see as anything do that. No? So when you feel your headless is monolithic at this stage, so even this headless frontend can be further decoupled into micro frontend or web component. We go for a web component kind of things. So micro frontend is not focused for this webinar, and simply so micro frontend is a pattern of microservice to the frontend world. So I would say the headless UI or headless frontend is an entry point for the micro frontend. Likewise, backend can be further decoupled to microservices or headless CMS, etc. And the other thing is parallel dependencies, because so when you do a developments, right? So most of the times, so we wait for a dependency. Some of the things we have a dependency on that. Other times we have dependency with other layers, right? So a parallel development will improve your productivity. So you feel this kind of things, no? So it's the right time to think about the parallel developments. Okay, so in a monolithic systems, even a UI developer, I give a scenario, even UI developer should have a local environments with the server setups, and sometimes maybe have a DB setup, database setup. So whenever any code updated in a backend, the UI developer have to fill the latest and build the server again and again. So it may consume 1 or 2 hours daily. It's about 15 to 20% of the daily activities, right? Actually, this is an unnecessary activities to the front end. Do a server setup, maintain the backend code, latest code in a local. So here headless provide no local setup for a UI development. Just have an IDE like Visual Studio Code is enough. So here headless approaches provide a flexibility for both front end and back end, works independently. Another major factors is say user experience. So Matthew already explained. So user experience also one of the pillars for pillars in the front end or any web applications, right? So monolithic applications, your monolithic applications may be developed years ago. Definitely there will be a limitation in the systems to improve to the modern, improve to the user experience to the modern expectations of modern world actually. So we are in a fast tracks and enough as patients to wait and see the content loading for more seconds in the pages. So in that scenario, some of the users may leave our pages. So if the pages takes more time to load it. So user experience here, user experience is non-avoidable as aspects for all the domains. I am strongly believe so UX user experience will definitely increase your conversation rate of your websites. So you may know that the conversation rates so will be based is calculated based on how much the users able to complete the journey. The journey may be successful completions of purchasing a product or getting any information from the sites, right? So headless frontend is one of the best approaches to enhance this user experience. With a decoupled headless architecture, the both our UI developer and UX team works together to bring up the best user experience. Okay. And other factors will be the reusabilities. Okay, so reusability is one of the factors that's improve your productivity, cost, and stability of an applications, right? So more reusability is more stability of an applications. Right? So monolithic in a monolithic applications is very difficult to maintain some reusabilities. There will be some challenges to making more reusabilities there. So headless provide better handling of cross-cutting concerns like configurations, logging, error handling, analytics for promotions in your applications. Like, so even a common functions. So if you decouples to front end, if headless UI or headless front end, even common functions can be created as a shared components, so that other models in your application can use these reusabilities. And more the front end the front end frameworks like Angular supports library projects. The common component can be created and published as an npm packages, so that another applications in your enterprise application can use this component or reusability factors. So reusability among different applications is possible in a headless approaches. Okay, and other is an open source. Okay, so if you're looking to migrate or migrated to JavaScript frameworks like Angular or React, are advantages of single page application. It's time to migrate it to headless UI. Okay, sometimes there is existing monolithic applications or existing stacks of monolithic applications. It's limited to introducing other stacks inside that applications. So most of the pages on monolithic applications are done from a server side. Data fetching or sending a data are synchronously without using Ajax call other technologies. So monolithic applications mostly use a jQuery kind of things for DOM manipulation and other things. So your headless UI can be an open source for its JS frameworks. Modern JavaScript frameworks allow modularity and component approaches. So very much lazy loading of components and other advantages of the frameworks can be used here actually. Okay, and other advantages is the omni channels. So responsiveness, omni channels, and other things, right? So omni-channels allow the retailer to achieve more availability, drive sales, safety, and integrating to the digital touchpoints. And omni-channel strategies provide the customers experience, provide more channels for the customers to purchase, whether it's going to be a mobile or any devices like tab and other things, web or in stores. The availability of multi-purchasing channels leads to increase your sales and traffics. In fact, omnichannel customers spends 25 to 30% more than other channels. So headless approaches provide a better options to handling the omnichannels. And other use cases may be the build process or continuous integrations or continuous deployments. From a monolithic perspective, so that's going to be a huge single code base or a huge code base. It's going to be a single big build packages, long time to deploy. It's very difficult to optimize the continuous deployment. Any changes in any layers needs to trigger an entire build. And with this separate headless front end and back end, so we can have an independent continuous deployment or continuous integrations, and have an options to choose cost-effective storages plan for each. So front end have a different storages plan, low storages plan, or back end have a different storages plan. So based on the demands or dynamic velocity is possible, and the storage plans also possible. So when we migrated to headless front end, the other factors will be the SEO, the search engine optimizations. So you may know the importance of search engine optimizations in a digital marketing space. In short, SEO is a crucial because it's make your site more visible, and that means more traffics and more opportunity to convert prospects into the customers. Headless UI architects provide better control on search engine optimization and its implementations. And other factors will be the API driven. So API driven. Right. So headless. So after we migrate, you think about migrating to UI or decoupled from the UI from backend. So headless UI will be API driven for content, or better suited for a headless CMS also. So once your monolithic systems decouple to headless frontend and backend, so backend can easily further decouple to the content layer like a CMS, headless CMS, services can be microservices things. So UI layer can call the API for data or for the content also. And other major things will be the server-side rendering and PWD features. Okay, so if you're looking for a better SEO, the page loading fastest. So server side is one of the options. Server side rendering is one of the options for that. And progressive applications. If you have a progressive applications needs, it's a time for you to migrate it to headless UI. Headless UI with the JavaScript frameworks like Angular, React, or Vue. So provide a built-in features to enable your site, yeah, PW enable. All the JS frameworks have a provisions to PW, and all the frameworks supporting built-in libraries or markups libraries or extended libraries for each frameworks. Angular have a universe, React have a Nest.js, and Vue.js have new.js things. And other advantages will be after we so once we migrated to headless, the agility, so better agility and better management of dependencies, right? So now you decide you are going to migrate it to headless UI from monolithics, right? So you may have these questions in the mind. So is the migrations of headless UI completely rewritten? Yes, the answer is yes. It's going to be a completely rewriting of existing UI layer from monolithic to headless frontend. So, but there are certain things we can reuse from a monolithic things, like the HTML templates. So that created in a monolithic, no? So that can be used somewhat, because in a monolithic, there's even HTML maybe embedded or maybe tags with the JSP tags, other the backend codes. Okay, that's why I'm saying so template can be partially reused, but how much can be reused is based on the frameworks that you choose. The other things can be reused is the business logics. Uh, we can get a reference of the business logics, and that we can rewrite, so that we can quickly rewrite from your headless UI. And the style reference, we get a style reference. So with the style reference, so you can create an a SaaS less kind of things, the preprocessor approach to our applications, right? So better approaches for headless migrations. So uh, pull the UI layer from a monolithics to make a headless UI, and the UI develop so and the UI and develop the UI with the frameworks of your choice. So once you migrated to things, no, so you have a range of choices of frameworks to choose for our development: React, Angular, Vue.js, Bone.js, and other things will be. And strangulative patterns, introduce an API layer from a front end, so that headless front end connected with the backend for a data and content. So if the backend is decoupled with the CMS, headless CMS. And model by model approach is the best approaches for headless things, and agility with the incremental approaches. Okay, so now we're going to discuss about the features and some of the benefits of the headless frontend. So some of the benefits Matthew already explains in these things. So here we are going to discuss the detailed benefits of headless approaches. Right? The headless approaches solve the challenges by breaking down into the smaller part. So if you split it to smaller part, maintainable will be more easy. So more flexibility and parallel scalabilities. and enhance user experience as a result, increasing your conversions rate. So your sites may be an accessibility complaint request for the peoples for the target audience of disabled and other peoples. And some of the regions, some of the countries, accessibility it's a mandatory for an application for a web standard. Okay, separate text stacks can be used, meaning so BA can so front end can use any stacks and back end can use anything. Okay, and better code coverages, better code quality, so make your applications more stable. And options to include TypeScripts for reducing error-bound applications and test frameworks. So all the frameworks it's have a dedicated test frameworks, unit test frameworks. With the unit test frameworks, so that will be reducing, that will be cover good code coverages and reducing error-free applications or better stability of an applications. And once we migrated to headless things now, you have an options to integrate it with the third-party integrations like social integrations or any other integration, chat integration, chatbot integrations. So anything's possible. So once we migrated things, so monolithics, even it's possible in a monolithic, but it has some limitations. We need to do within this limited. Okay. So once we split it, once we decouple to so there will be no limitations. Right? And so headless UI or headless the all the JavaScript frameworks is a single page applications. So we can get an advantages of single page of advantages. Okay, and other thing is so to improve the SEO and SSR and the static page integration for quick page load. So Matthew also mentioned that. No? So there will be some limits of the page loading. The page should be loaded in within the seconds, few seconds. No? So that attract these users, more users into our pages. Okay. So these are the benefit and features of some applications. And so next thing will be the conclusions. I hand over to Matthew. Matthew, could you please take up from here?
Yeah, thanks, Varada. So, with the industry competition heating up, it's crucial to create a website that stands out. And the website that stands out are those both visually and both visually pleasing and functionally sound, right? So, the best solution for a customer, somebody is looking to scale or to improve the conversation rates and stay adaptable for the future. They need to use the headless front end, right? So now at this time, we are opening for the QA session. We open to the floor for any questions that may have come up during this presentation. That said, please start sharing your questions over the open chat feature, and we will do our best to answer as many as questions as we can in the next few minutes. So any questions, right? So that we can't get in time, our team will reach out to you directly with appropriate insights.